Thank you. My name is Leonard Saint-Aubin. I'm here on behalf of the Canadian Internet Society, or TCIS. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. We appreciate the opportunity to appear in this proceeding. TCIS advocates for an open, affordable, and accessible and secure Internet. Our mission is to ensure that all Canadians benefit from the opportunities created by digital transformation. In this proceeding, we will address 5 points, focusing on the needs and interests of Canadians, redefining Canadian content, the potential for negative, unintended consequences, certainty for user-generated content, and increased reliance on market forces. First, policy and regulation should focus on the needs and interests of Canadians as consumers of audiovisual content that we choose and pay for, as entrepreneurial creators of global content, and as taxpayers who finance public funding for CanCon. In this rapidly evolving, open, and competitive global market, it's time to move beyond the needs of legacy broadcasters and independent producers. Second, redefining Canadian content requires flexibility. TCIS supports expansion of CanCon criteria and maximum flexibility within the proposed 9 of 15 points, or further expansion and flexibility as proposed by Dr. Irene Berkowitz and other interveners. Nonetheless, in our view, the CanCon framework should give extra weight to productions that are based on a Canadian literary work, historical event, or other similar cultural connection to Canada. As for intellectual property, currently the Commission does not require domestic ownership for CanCon certification. It should not do so going forward. To ensure non-discriminatory outcomes, the CRTC should be able to certify commercially financed CanCon produced by foreign streaming services. Third, there is potential for negative unintended consequences. Burdensome regulation can incentivize market exit and create barriers to entry, thereby reducing Canadians' access to online content and freedom of choice. It can increase costs for Canadians as consumers, and regulation that fails to recognize market-driven investment in CanCon can needlessly drive up the costs of public financing. The Commission should strive to do no harm. With that in mind, our fourth point is that regulation should provide certainty for user-generated content, or UGC. The stated intent of public policy was to exclude UGC from regulation. Yet Section 4 of Bill C-11 enables that regulation. If social media are subject to broadcasting regulation, then every online creator who earns revenues from UGC in Canada has reason to fear regulatory creep. UGC creators, or digital-first creators, have never had to meet CanCon criteria. Requiring social media to identify and prioritize CanCon could adversely impact them in 2 ways. It could serve to promote only the regulated CanCon of established broadcasters on social media. Alternatively, UGC creators could find themselves forced to comply with CanCon criteria to avoid being deprioritized or made undiscoverable. Certainty is essential. The Commission must clarify its intentions for potential regulation under Section 4.2 and more generally for defining or identifying Canadian programs on social media. Fifth, it's time, in our view, for increased reliance on market forces. To our knowledge, no one has analyzed the market impact of requiring online media to support CanCon and compete directly with broadcasters for the rights to stream Canadian content in Canada, whether that is drama, comedy, or sports. Yet Canadian broadcasters want their CanCon obligations reduced, and online creators are expressing concerns. TCIS believes that regulation must rely on market forces, be flexible, reduce regulatory burden, and where regulation is required, be efficient, effective, and proportional to its purpose. For Canadian broadcasters, regulation should enable them to better compete. It should incentivize them to redirect their spending on foreign content toward Canadian programming. And it should recognize the importance of news and domestic sports. For foreign streamers and social media, TCIS believes that any further CPE requirement above the so-called base contribution should not exceed 5% of Canadian revenues, and it should recognize and incentivize market-based investments and partnerships with Canadian broadcasters and producers.